Yes, folks, it's John G. Sutton, Tales from the Jails. Thank you all for watching this channel and subscribing, liking, doing all the rest of it. And don't forget to buy my book. There you go, folks. It's on Amazon. How can you resist? Buy your grandmother a copy. She'll definitely love it, especially the bit about the tramps. You've got to read it just for that. Anyway, I want to talk today about the Ministry of Justice and His Majesty's Inspector of Prisons. They've made a report saying that there's a great degree of institutionalised racism within Her Majesty's prisons, and that the members of the ethnic minority groups who are working in there as prison officers are complaining that they're being subjected to racist banter. I mean, there's a certain dark humour within the prisons, there has to be. Because let's face it, it's a hellish difficult job. Certainly was. I mean, these days, of course, you've got chambermaids, you've got hostesses, yeah? And, of course, we've got members of the ethnic minority groups are there. When I worked at the Scrubs, there was only one in the whole establishment, one member of an ethnic minority group, and he was a West Indian, great big fella, being a weightlifting champion, and he was working at the Scrubs, and I perfectly got on with him really well. He lived down the corridor from me, not a problem. We used to walk into work each morning together, but people were treating him with great disrespect. And I tried to help him because people were... I mean, this was a big guy, a bit like Frank Bruno, big hefty guy. But he couldn't tattle all the lot that came at him. They were pushing human excrement through his door, shouting abuse at his family as they went out, and generally behaving in a completely obnoxious... I can't quite fathom where they think they're coming from with this. I mean, it's the same as the National Front that they had at Strangeways. I mean, they're talking about racial purity and the Aryan race and how white power rules. And if you have a look at some of them, big, fat, ignorant, beer-bellied bastards. And they're seriously. If this was the master race, we've had it. Bloody sunk. Yeah, seriously. They didn't really know what they were doing, all these people who were talking about white power and the National Front. And it was the same at the Scrubs. But there was racialist tension there. But very often it came the other way round. I found that because there were a lot of West Indian ethnic minority groups in the prison, serving time as prisoners, and they used to say naughty things to me. I've previously discussed this, bomberclot and rasclot, and I didn't understand what it meant. They thought it was an insult, but how can you insult me if I don't know what it means? You might as well swear at me in Arabic. I don't know, I can't understand it. It doesn't matter to me. I mean, they thought it was highly amusing. To me, it just seemed infantile. But I didn't let it get on my was, I've mentioned one Christmas when I was at the Scrubs. I think it was the Christmas of 1978. Yeah, 1978. And I was put in charge of the administering the meals, make sure that all the Christmas dinner went out right. And I got three big black guys. I said, you're going to help me, aren't you? We've got to have a little choir, and we'll have a sing-song as everybody comes down for the Christmas dinner, because they put up a little tree, I said, you stand near the tree, just in front of the hot plate where they're serving the Christmas dinner, and you can sing, as everybody's coming down to the dinner, cheer everybody up. And they says to me, well, what are we going to sing, Gov? I said, I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. So these three big black guys standing there doing the Four Tops version of I'm Dreaming of a White Christmas. It was absolutely hilarious. I am dreaming of a white Christmas. Seriously, jumping up and down and snapping their fingers. And it was all going really well, and everybody was coming down, pissing themselves laughing at this. Until one big Irishman, a big Irish bricklayer or something like that, come down and started fighting. God help us, it was terrible, that. Took me at least 10 minutes to get him down there. Well, a few lads, we got him into an empty cell. Well, he didn't really want to do that. It was Christmas Day, for goodness sake. But he started bashing the guy who was dishing out the coffee. He wanted a full mug of coffee, a full pint of coffee. But everybody got half a pint. If they give everybody a pint, there wouldn't have been enough to go around. It was sad, that. But as for people, behaving today like that, behaving in a racialist manner today, goodness me, they're not growing up. And the Ministry of Justice, His Majesty's Inspector of Prisons, has just done a report saying that it's institutional racism built into the prison system, and people are calling people names. They're calling ridiculous names, things like something to do with cotton and the jungle and all that. I mean, it was just nonsense. What is it? Grow up, you silly bastards, yeah? Don't start doing that. It's demeaning anyway, isn't it? If that's your best shot, you've got to be seriously intellectually damaged. I think so anyway. As we're speaking today, the nurses are on strike. Now, the nurses' average pay for a nurse is £32,000 a year. So they're in around about the same ballpark as the prison staff, and just slightly less than the police officers, But there's going to be a massive change in society. I tell you, I've seen this before. I think it was 1974. Yeah, when we had you will likely not remember this, they issued petrol coupons, a book full of petrol coupons, and they were going to ration petrol, so you were only allowed like 5 gallons a week or something like that, whatever it was, But you had a limited number of petrol coupons, but they didn't actually have to do it. But shortly after that, and they had what's known as a 3-day working week. This was Ted Heath. He was a weird bastard, wasn't he? Ted Heath, never married, I mean, he's middle-aged, was he? 50, 55, something like that, when he was the Prime Minister. Ex-colonel in the military. Thought he was running the Britain like he was running a regiment, You will do what I say. Hence we had the 3-day week. That was his idea. Reduce the speed limit on the motorway from 70 to 50. I got done doing 60 miles an hour on the M6 motorway. Seriously, there was no traffic on there at all. Oh, there were bloody police cars radaring you and all that nonsense. Bloody despise that shit. You want to get a job? Get a fucking brush, lad. Do something worthwhile with your life. Anyway, so I've seen all this before. And shortly after that, everything went mad. Wages, I mean, I started in the prison service, my weekly wage was £35 a week. And within 2.5, 3 years, the wage had gone up. It had gone up from £35 a week to £100 and odd a week, so it trebled. That's what's going to happen now. And I know that this is going to happen because I've just bought some coal, some, smokeless fuel, and it gone up 40%. 40% since I last bought some. I bought some in October, and it's gone up 40%. How ridiculous is that? I mean, my wages have not gone up 40%. But they will do. They'll have to do, won't they? Otherwise, I'm going to be 40% worse off. That's what the nurses are saying. I absolutely do sympathise with them. And it's no good, the government. I heard some member of the Tory party this morning saying, oh, well, they're playing into the hands of Vladimir Putin. Are these people taking the piss? Eh? Don't listen to that nonsense. Listen, I remember Heathrow Airport, where they were supposedly frightened of terrorists at Heathrow Airport. Seriously. So what did they do? They put tanks there. Put the military tanks outside Heathrow Airport. What's that going to do? You don't think they'd be like they're pissing themselves laughing at that if they really were terrorists? Yeah, but they invented the bastards supposedly to scare us. That's what the tanks are for. Yeah, to scare us. That's what they're doing it for, folks. They're trying to intimidate us. Hence, we've got CCTV cameras and all that stuff all over town, all over London, all over Manchester. I went to one street in a place called Tilsley in Greater Manchester. All along the main street, there's these CCTV cameras attached to the telegraph poles up the top, all down the street. And listen, they've got things called facial recognition now. Get a face, click your face, yeah, that face allocated a code, like a barcode, yeah. So if they see that face and there's trouble, they put that face into their computer network. It's all connected. Believe me, it's all connected. They put that face in, click the code, and it shows you where that face has been. All over the place. And if I say you've been in London and there's trouble, then they see you in Manchester and there's trouble. Next thing you know, you're getting lifted. Yeah? And they'll ask you, you won't know that they know that they've tracked you, but they have tracked you. And people say, "Oh, I'm not bothered about cameras all over the place." So you like living in a prison, do you? Like living in HMP Great Britain. Not so bloody great, is it? Anyway, I'm going to sing you a song now. Ding dong, that's the song dinger. This is a song by the Oldham Tinkers, and I'm sure that you're going to experience this. I'm going to sing it in the Lancashire dialect to the best of my ability anyway. This is it's called A Fine Old English Gentleman. Because I consider myself to be a fine old English gentleman type, you know. And it's I think these people were mainly from the Oldham area, which is now Greater Manchester, but let's face it, it's Lancashire, isn't it? Here we go. Anyway, like a fine old English gentleman, one of the old brigade. Well, I went to church next morning. I'd never been there in me days. By crimes I was ashamed of myself, for I didn't know their ways. There were young folk, there were old folk, in tubs and boxes sat, and a silly old bugger sat next to me. He said, "Lad, take off the hat," like a fine old English gentleman, one of the old brigade. Well, then enters a big Lord Mayor, on his shoulder he's a club. He first jumped into a long white shirt, and then in topmost tub. He's preaching about good folk going to heaven and bad folk going to hell. I said, "Sit thee down, thee silly old bugger, that's ne'er been there thyself, like a fine old English gentleman, one of the old brigade." Then a fellow come round with a plate of brass. By crimes he hands it round, and me not being a silly old bugger, I goes takes half a crown. A silly old bugger sat next to me. I thought he were bound to die. I said, "Sit thee down, thee silly old bugger, I've left some in for thee." Like a fine old English gentleman, one of the old brigade. When preaching and prayers were over, and we all were going away, I goes up to the feller in long white shirt to see if there's out to pay. He said, "No, lad, there's nowt to pay. By crimes I were right fain." So I picked up me hat, I picked up me cane, and I buggered off home again, like a fine old English gentleman, one of the old brigade. There you are. A Fine Old English Gentleman, was initially rendered by the Oldham Tinkers, and that was me. And don't forget, folks, there it is. You can't resist it. It's on Amazon. You need 2 copies for Christmas. Thank you very much.